Autism. What is autism? Is it a disease or a disability or a developmental condition? Or is part of an identity? Is Autism Awareness Month or Autism Acceptance Month? Or you have to go by autistic, not as a person with autism. This is not a month to celebrate because I suffer autism every day, 24/7. Some of those are the most more common comments, which shows the differences of opinion in our community. But how to define autism? We're going to talk about that and more in this new episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And welcome to the podcast with purpose in this world. Welcome to My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And I'm your host, Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. I'm a person that was diagnosed with autism at age 3. And as a person on the spectrum, I went through different challenges in my life, such as social communication, being nonverbal to age 4, rejection, bullying, discrimination, and many challenges in life. But throughout my life, I've overcome those challenges to achieve key goals of graduating from college, be able to get full-time employment, writing my own book, become a motivational speaker, doing work on television, and more important today, an international ambassador for autism and many other causes. This is a podcast in which we'll talk about different topics, autism, mental health, and many others that impact our community and our world. And we're gonna have people as guests in which I can interview from around the world. So without further ado, welcome to My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. Hello, and thank you so much for being with me here today on this new episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And first things first, I'm very grateful to your support for the first episode of My Time that was released. My podcast debut was this past Saturday, April the 2nd, on Autism Awareness Day or Autism Acceptance Day, or basically Autism Day, and which is going to be part of what I've just mentioned right now is going to be part of what I'm going to talk about during today's podcast. And, I'm very grateful for all the reviews and comments. Please share this podcast with everybody that you know, your family members, friends, and everybody in all the platforms. It's the podcast with purpose in this world, and we need more of it in this, especially in the world that we're living in. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper into autism, how to define autism, how to view autism. There's different opinions in regards to autism as I started on this introduction. So let's go to a brief story about autism. Autism came into a prominent view starting at year 1943, when an Austrian psychiatrist, physician, and or scientist, Leo Kanner, published his study in regards of behaviors, in regards of mental health, called autistic. I don't remember what it was autistic, behaviors. I believe it was something like that. But that was the first time that the terms autistic or autism came into fruition. There have been reports of it being earlier, but for the purpose of the discussion right now, let's go that the term autism, the thing autism, came into prominence starting after 1943. Shortly after that, we have also an Austrian scientist, named Hans Asperger. You may be familiar with Asperger, because of Asperger syndrome came through him, which he published studies in the late 1940s that describe a mild autism, or what came to be a more high-functioning autism called Asperger syndrome. And today, Asperger syndrome, depending on your location and where you're listening to or watching me from, it depends on where that's being used or not. Some other countries, Asperger is still being used, but here in the United States, since 2013, Asperger syndrome is part of the level one of ASD level, which is now the autism spectrum disorder. And throughout history, autism has gone through an evolution, different perspectives, studies, different ways of looking at it. We went from a time in which the parents, especially the moms, were were accused as to the reason why autism was happening because of the refrigerator gene type, theory. And then we went to more, became initially, as you can see, autism became as a mental disease or mental disorder. That's how it started. But it went through an evolution as time went by. And throughout the years, we got into different definitions, and the definition of autism evolved. In fact, it was 1987 in which the first time in which the term autism spectrum disorders were used, or autism disorders. And later, in 1994, it came into the officially into the different types of autism. Classic autism, Asperger syndrome, Rett syndrome, and many others. And which is interesting because for my case, my story, I was diagnosed with simply autism at age 3, 1 year before 1994. I was born in 1990, diagnosed in 93, and then later, 1994, what happened was that what was released was DSM-4, was the manual for mental health or mental disorders by the American Psychiatry Association, and it came with a definition of autism. And as time went by, there was an evolution in terms of the signs, the symptoms for autism, and involved different things, which I'm not going to go into right now. But it got more clear in terms of finding the signs for autism related to communication, behavior, and different other things. But those are the most common ones. And throughout this history, there have been different types of perspectives in terms of how to view autism, from a mental disease to a disorder to now a condition of life. You have had in autism different points of view, different perspectives. And that's what we have today. We have the parents' perspective, the medical profession's perspective, the teachers, the therapists, or more of the service providers that provide service for the autism population. And you have a very important perspective, which is the individuals on the autism spectrum, autistic individuals. Even the term autism is part of the debates in our society, in our community, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But overall, autism, I will call its process an evolution. And there's still a lot of questions that remain unanswered. There's been different theories in terms of where autism came from. Some people, for a time, accused vaccines for causing autism. Others, the genes, from the parents' genes. Others, the environment, the food that we eat. There's been different theories, different speculations, different opinions. I have my own opinions, but we're not sure where it comes from. And studies so far have not come into a conclusion in terms of where autism originated. And that's a work in progress at this time. So that's been part of the debates that have been happening in what is called autism. And let's go into that right now. Our community is very diverse. Each person in the autism is very different. According to the definitions right now by the DSM-5, by the American Psychiatrists Association, autism is divided into 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 being the what it was Asperger, and now it's high functioning autism, excuse me. Number 2 is mild autism, and then number 3, severe or more classic autism. But there's not enough awareness about this because there's a picture of what autism is and differences of opinion in our society. A lot of times it doesn't help all cause, and that's the reason why we need to be more clear in terms of talking about autism, the way it impacts the individuals that are diagnosed with it, the different levels and the different stories within autism. Right now, autism in the United States, the rate is one of every 44 children are diagnosed on the autism spectrum. One of every 45 adults are diagnosed on the autism spectrum, which is 2.2% of the US population. Before, when I started my advocacy, it was one of every 86. Now it's one every 44 of children. And the rates have been going up. There has been a debate also on that into why the rates have been going up. Some say because of the vaccines before, but we had to realize that now there's better tools to diagnose autism as it was before. So that's one something we had to keep in mind. But it's still a lot of unanswered questions as to autism, its origin, and many other things. So autism has comes with different opinions and perspectives. So some people see it as a disability, a disorder, a disease, a nightmare. Some people see it as part of their identity and more of the actual autistic. This is part of me, and this is who I am. That's the thought of autistic individuals, more adults. And I respect the different opinions, but a lot of times we miss the point of view of what we should be focused on in regards to autism, and that is to help each individual, autistic individual, achieve a better life. Help them, give them the opportunity to achieve a better life. And that's what we need to be focused on. A lot of times through the divisions and debates, those things takes us away of what should be our mission. For example, the ABA therapy debate, which has been controversial. From my personal experience, I've taken therapies, behavior therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapies. And my story, it helped. But it is not the same for everybody. But that doesn't mean that ABA therapy and all speech and behavior therapy is bad. It's not. I go and I understand that autistic adults that went through bad experiences with ABA, and that number is big, and I understand. ABA therapy story is very complicated. There's been a lot of struggles and situations through my research and also to my experience in working in this community. I can understand the different situations. While at the same time, I can understand that has been involved in evolution in regards to ABA therapy. Not all ABA therapy is bad out there. That's something to realize. I have seen miracles happen because of ABA therapy. I have seen children that have developed the skills that they need to achieve a better life thanks to ABA therapy. So, and also other therapies as well, speech, occupational, and many others. And that's important. Why we need to, uh, go beyond this debate and focus on working together to come solutions and find the ways to provide the tools to help each autistic individual achieve a better life. And that's it. And that's one of the debates. Now, in terms of ABA therapy, I don't make endorsements of ABA therapy or speech therapy or any specific treatment. I always advocate for families, for communities to work with the individual in achieving their purpose of life and achieve a better quality of life. That's all. And now it may not work for you, but it may work for others. Each story, and I don't like to say the word case because case is negative. We're not cases. We're human beings that we have something to contribute and that we deserve, that we deserve the opportunity to achieve a better life. That's all we had to focus on, in my opinion. Another thing is the term of going with autism or autistic. People say that going with autism is negative, that you should go by autistic is part of your identity, that people said you're not defined by autism, and many other things. I always, in my opinions, I always change the terms, as you notice, as you even notice on this episode, of autistics over autism. for me is, yes, autism is part of the condition, but I'm not defined by it. That's me. I think people should not be defined by it. If they want to be identified by it, then yeah, that's up to them, and I respect that. I respect the freedom, the being able to have differences of opinions. In fact, I like this the differences of opinion, but focusing this too much is doesn't help the cause. We need to work together to come in the agreement in the terms of the different things that we can agree on to help each autistic individual and their family achieve their better life. That's it. Because not only autism impacts the individual that has a diagnosis, but also impacts the family, the community, and they need help and support as well. So overall, um, that's one debate. There's another debate as to where you go by Autism Awareness Month, Autism Acceptance Month, Autistic Month, many other debates. And you refocus on awareness. No, we have to go by acceptance. No, and a lot of times it doesn't help with the mission and what the mission is. And it gets frustrating. I respect different points of view, but we have to focus on the mission, in my opinion. For me, how I define autism with all of this, I define it as a condition of life that is a developmental disability, a condition, but it is something that doesn't define me or determine who I am. We have to go beyond the disability. We have to go beyond the condition. We have to go and help the help these wonderful beings, help each individual on the spectrum have achieve a better life. Give them the opportunity to achieve a better life. And it's not easy. It's tough. Autism it gives me, it's like headaches. So a lot of times, and I say it with all due respect, but it's so worth it. It's a very unique community, and I'm very proud to be able to advocate for this great community every day. I work and I live autism every day, at least since age 3. And we need to focus on different things. We need to, I'm calling, work not only the community, but also society. Society has to do more on their part in creating more awareness and programs to help these autistic individuals, especially the adults, which in a lot of places there's not a lot for adults, especially more on the severe side. So that needs to be changed. That needs to be changed completely. And that will require social responsibility of all of our society. That's what it will require. But we have to have the will to do it. First, we have to put our community together, work with society to achieve that goal. And that's the most important thing after all. So, my invitation and my advice for everybody, you may be a person that doesn't know anybody that's been impacted by autism, which is very unlikely because the rates right now is that, if not through your family, somebody that has been diagnosed with autism, whether your friends or coworkers. I invite all society to continue educating themselves about autism, the levels, the impacts in school, education, health, and the daily living. And let's continue to work ways towards helping each autistic individual achieve a better life, which is what we all want more than anything. I truly believe that regardless if the person's at level 1, level 2, level 3 autism, or is verbal or nonverbal, or has significant challenges or not, each individual have a purpose here. They can achieve a better life. We just need to put ourselves together and help them, give them the opportunity to achieve a better life. That's the most important thing after all. And that's what I define autism personally as perseverance. Persevere. That's what parents have to need to persevere under the challenges of the daily living. That's what autistic individuals need to demonstrate to the world that they have a story to tell and they're living their mission. That's what professionals need. and therapists and teachers, everybody need to help these individuals and their families in providing better quality of life. That's what we all need: perseverance. You need to persevere. You need to be strong. And if you have not followed me through, if there's one thing I want you to, of anything that I said in this podcast, is to focus. If you're a parent, always remember that your child has a purpose in this world. If you're an individual on the autistic individual, focus to never give up. You have something to contribute. Don't give up. Never give up. Same for the teachers and professionals. So anyway, I just wanted to give this overview of what I think about autism, my definition, the history in regards to our community. I'm very grateful for giving this opportunity. There's a couple of things that I deal with autism, even though I may not look like anxiety, depression, high anxiety, difficulty keeping friends, relationships, what I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But I continue to fight and be able to get better, to achieve a better life. That's what I want. So thank you so much for being with me here in this episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo, talking about autism, how to define it. This is Autism Month, what you call awareness, acceptance. For me, everything is important. So follow my page in social media. Also get a copy of my book, An Autism Unscripted Life, available on Amazon and other places as well. And until next time, thank you again for being with me here. Until next time, this is Tony Hernandez Pumarejo, and you have been in My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. Thanks so much. Everybody has a wonderful day. Bye-bye. And this is it for another episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. I hope you like it. So if you want to learn a little bit more information in terms of the work that I do, please subscribe to my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube under my name, Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. You can also follow my website, www.tonyhernandezpumarejo.com. And if you're interested in getting a copy of my book, An Autism Unscripted Life, you can purchase it from Amazon or any other platform, including my own, my website. So I hope you liked this episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And until next time we meet, thank you and have a wonderful day. Blessings.